You have to start somewhere. The first thing that came to me was the vertical diet by Stan Efferding, which is essentially an animal-based diet with rice, potatoes, and sweet potatoes as well. So I started doing that, but I didn't realize like you have to cut out the bad stuff. You can't just like add in good stuff.
Hey guys, thank you so much for watching our videos. If you'd like to support us some more, you can explore our homemade natural skincare products at purelytallow.com. Thank you so much for supporting my small business.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Carnivore Revolution. I'm Serena, and today my special guest is Michael Kagan. He and his brother Matthew own the company called formerly Nose to Tail Provisions and now Grazley, and they sell these delicious carnivore animal-based snacks. And so we're going to talk about that in a little while. Michael, thank you so much for joining me today.
Yeah, of course, Serena. Thank you so much for having me.
So I want to talk about your health journey, you and your brother. You both have tried carnivore at some point, and you're basically just animal-based right now, but it's made a huge difference in your health. So I like to start with that so people can hear why we're doing this video and why they also should try either a carnivore or an animal-based diet. So let's start there.
Yeah, of course. I mean, that is how everything started. So I'll try to give a brief synopsis of like the entire timeline of my health journey. So, I mean, ever since I was little, I had some health issues. Like I was never fully healthy. And I'll give my brother's as well since he couldn't be here. So when I was, I think, 3 years old, I got diagnosed with asthma. And that was like the first thing that happened. So from what my mom tells me, I had like an asthma attack where I couldn't breathe at all. Had to go to the hospital. They gave me like a prednisone shot or something. And then ever since then, until even up to like college age, when I was like 19 or 20 years old, I would basically be on inhalers and nebulizers sometimes. And I sort of did grow out of the asthma, at least for like the last 3, 4 years. So that's not a thing anymore. But that I grew out of that before I even like made any diet change or anything. So that um that might have just been an age thing. But the next thing that happened was I around 19 years old, I developed this like really bad flu, like this really bad case of the flu that went on for about 3 weeks or so, where it was getting bad, getting worse for 2 weeks, and then like for 1 week it was improving. And then also like whenever I would get sick, it would be like these awful illnesses that last like any cold or flu would last like 2, 3 weeks. Just because I was so systemically unhealthy, I was taking in so many toxins. My environment, my light environment was bad. My sleep schedule was bad. Like whenever I did get sick, it would just be awful to overcome. And so I had this flu at about 19 years old. And then about 2 to 3 weeks after I had this flu, I started developing like these digestive symptoms that were really severe, like out of nowhere. I never had digestive problems before. Like even though I had the asthma, and along with the asthma, I had like eczema and some dandruff and stuff on my scalp. Just the atopic like autoimmune diseases that go together. So I had all that, but I never had any digestive symptoms. And then 2 weeks after this flu, I started like getting severe digestive symptoms. Like I would be going to the bathroom 10 to 15 times a day out of nowhere. And like these severe stomach pains that were unbearable. And obviously I had to start going to see doctors right away. And to make a long story short, I basically got diagnosed with Crohn's disease. So that is pretty much like Crohn's disease was the main shifting point in my life where for about a year or two, I want to say like 2 years, I pretty much tried the conventional route. I didn't know anything about carnivore, animal based. I didn't even really know your diet affects it because the doctors tell you it doesn't. They say they don't know what causes it. There may be some genetic factors involved, but they never mention anything about diet. So for a year or two, I tried the conventional route. I took injectable medications, Humira and Stelara, which are common for Crohn's and colitis. And they, on paper, those medications put me into remission, like all the inflammatory markers and stuff. But the symptoms are all still there. Like it, and then once you're in remission, it's not like they could do anything else. The symptoms were all still there because the medication was essentially just blocking the inflammatory response. It wasn't actually healing the root cause. So when you take the test, the inflammatory markers are normal, you're in remission. But the symptoms are still there, so I had to do something. So the first thing I found out was about, because when you have symptoms, you start searching online, like anything you could do to make it better. You have to start somewhere. the first thing that came to me was the vertical diet by Stan Efferding, which is essentially an animal-based diet with rice, potatoes, and sweet potatoes as well. So I started doing that, but I didn't realize like you have to cut out the bad stuff. You can't just like add in good stuff. So I was doing like 50-50 standard American diet, eating out in college, dining hall, campus and stuff. And then vertical diet the other half of the time where I could eat in my dorm or in my house. And then that didn't improve my symptoms. They still kept getting worse because I was still eating all the bad stuff. And then maybe 6 months after that, my brother found out about the animal-based diet from Paul Saladino, and because he's pretty much the biggest proponent of that diet, and he started doing it. And I found out about it from him, but I didn't start doing it because I just didn't realize it was like,
Because why? Because why would you?
yeah, exactly. Like you don't know why, you don't know it can actually make such a huge difference. You're just like, okay, that's cool. So yeah, to wrap this up, basically at the end of my senior year of college, like the symptoms became unbearable and I had to go to the ER two separate times. And one time I had to stay in the ER for 4 days and they still didn't help. Like nothing changed. They just ran the tests. They were like, I'm like, but I have these awful symptoms. I'm literally in unbearable pain. And they're like, so I just went home. Yeah.
Yeah.
And my brother pretty much told me, I mean, it was more of a suggestion, but he was like, yeah, nothing's going to change unless you go fully strict with this. And I was like, okay, well, I have nothing to lose at this point. Let me just try it. So what I did was I didn't go carnivore at the time. I tried carnivore later on. At the time, I went strict animal based. So all I had was meat and fruits, pretty much, and organ meats. So, and then after about, people think right away there's this huge change, but the reality is that's not the case, especially if you've been bad for a long time. It takes a long time to get better. So for like 3 months of being fully strict, like not a single cheat meal, just fully meat, fruit, and organ meats, I didn't experience much of a change. But then at about the 3 month mark, I started seeing that like my day to day was actually getting better. And then after like 6 months of doing that, I was consistently feeling good. So that's pretty much my health journey. Like the Crohn's, a year or two of trying the traditional route. And then obviously I got off medication so I started that strict diet in July, got off in October. So about 6 months or months. And yeah, that's pretty much my journey. Do you want me to share my brother's briefly as well?
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. Do that.
Yeah, so my brother, what happened with him is throughout his childhood, he had like this elbow pain that was sort of inexplicable. And then it started getting worse and worse as he grew older. So like 14, 15, 16 years old. Right now, for reference, I'm 23, turning 24 this year, and my brother is 20. So it started getting like a lot worse where he couldn't really fully bend his arm and he was just in pain. Like there was active pain there. So he went to the rheumatologist and they diagnosed him with juvenile rheumatoid arthritis. And it eventually got to the point where he actually had to get surgery on his elbow and remove loose bone fragments from it. And like they actually showed the bone fragments after they removed it. Like he has pictures of it and everything. So that's pretty much what drove him to the same conclusion. Like it's just health issues that once the medical system doesn't help you anymore, you're kind of just forced to start researching and seeing what you could do. And eventually you find something that works, which in our case, I know your case as well, Serena, the carnivore diet, animal-based diet, what we found. So that's sort of our personal backstories.
Yeah. So that's awesome that you guys have kind of figured that out. So what does your family think when you guys made this change with your diet? Did you get any kind of backlash or anything from them?
On the diet, no backlash, but on the not trusting like the medical system, there was definitely backlash. So like it was very difficult for my parents to accept that the doctors could actually be wrong, that they don't know everything, that what they're doing is not actually helping, and that we, who have like obviously no medical education and we're like way younger than doctors are, may actually be right in this situation. So we got backlash on like the fact that we're gonna handle this ourselves. Obviously, these are like serious medical issues. So as parents, it's their job to be concerned. Like, what if you can't handle it yourself? What if you get worse? Things like that. So we got backlash on like trying to handle it ourselves via diet and lifestyle, and sort of not trusting the conventional medical response, which is just to mask the symptoms and the inflammatory response using medication, not address the root cause. But switching the diet itself, there was a lot of questions, like people poke and prod, like they don't understand it, but not really any backlash.
Yeah. And so was the transition easy for you when you went from eating partially like the standard American diet and partially a meat-based diet? What was that transition like? Did you have a hard time?
No, I think the hardest transition for me was the social aspect. I think anyone who's carnivore, animal based may say that because like you're obviously still friends with a lot of people who just eat the standard American diet and stuff. And when you go out, like you have to very carefully choose the places you go to before you even go.
Mhm.
And then you have to carefully choose what you order from the menu.
That's
So
right.
it's difficult socially. Luckily, this happened right after I graduated college. And I had like a grace period before I started working and after I graduated, like
Yeah.
working my full-time job. So I basically used that was like the period where I just went strict with my diet and I was able to like see that it was sort of working slowly. But yeah, the hardest transition was social, not actually like sticking to the diet.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with that. And I think nothing can kind of set you apart from your friends and family like something like this, like making this kind
Food.
of diet change. It just
Yeah.
makes a huge difference. And it does, it sets you apart and like secludes you from everybody else. But it's worth it if it's working for you and you're feeling good, right?
Yeah, you have to do it. And you're totally right, Serena. I mean, pretty much all cultural bonding, like family bonding, it's all based around food.
Food.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's very tough, but I mean at this point, like when you live with people, so it's not my extended family, but my immediate family more so, like
Yeah.
my mom, even though she didn't want to like basically turn so strict with her diet, she started like reading labels and stuff. And obviously she doesn't follow a strict animal-based diet, but like she's like, I'm going to the store and now even though I don't want to read the ingredients, you got me reading the ingredients, and now I don't want to buy this thing that I used to eat.
Yeah. Right.
So,
Right.
like, people start to understand that there's actually some truth to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think it's a rabbit hole. And like once people start
Yeah.
going down this rabbit hole, you know, a lot of times they start to change little by little. And then eventually it adds up to a big change, which is a good thing. So I know that you are not 100% carnivore, you are animal based, so you eat some fruit. So what does a typical day of eating look like for you?
I could take you through my day of eating today. So, this morning I had cottage cheese with honey, and then I tried to eat a large volume of food because I need a lot of calories to keep up my body weight with my activity level and stuff. So this is like a large volume of it. A cottage cheese with honey, and then on the side I had mango and banana. And then it's finally getting like hot in New York. I don't know where you are geographically, Serena. Are you in the East Coast or where?
I'm in Virginia. Yeah, so I'm on the East Coast. Not too
Okay.
far.
Yeah. So it's finally getting hot here, so like more fruit is in season and ripe. In the winter, I wouldn't eat so many fruits just because they taste bad, and it's also like you don't know where that fruit's coming from or how
Right.
long it's been.
Yeah,
So
people take that for granted that the apples that they're eating or the apples that are on their kitchen counter waiting for their kids to eat, those apples could be a year old. And so they lose
yeah,
most of their nutritional value anyway at that point.
exactly. So when the fruit becomes more seasonal, that's when I start to eat more of it.
Mhm.
So this morning was a banana, a mango, cottage cheese, and honey. And then for lunch, I had another banana, a pretty large steak, another apple, or no, that was my first apple. The morning was mango and banana.
Yeah.
And then for dessert I had some dried like berries. I forgot the name of the berry. It was like organic,
Yeah.
only one
Mhm.
ingredient thing. So pretty much, and then I also incorporate sweet potatoes into my diet, and then rarely potatoes. And I used to do white rice because it was part of the vertical diet, but it doesn't seem to agree with me as much as potatoes do.
So that's not a whole lot of protein. So for dinner, you'll have more protein.
Yeah, well, it actually is a lot of protein. I aim for around 140 to
Oh,
150
okay.
grams a day. So the steak would have given me 40 to 50 grams, and then
Mm.
the cottage cheese in the morning would have also given me around 40 grams or so. So I'll
Okay.
fill in the rest like 50 or 60 with dinner. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I think it's important to share stories like yours too, because honestly, I don't believe everybody needs to be a carnivore. I know the name of my channel is the Carnivore Revolution, and I do believe
Yeah.
carnivore works best for a lot of people. And if
Yeah,
nothing else, as an elimination diet for most people, I think it's the best way to go.
definitely.
And then you can add things back in, like you and your brother have done, and you can add those fruits back in. I like that what you've added back in, the things that you eat are primarily fruits and not a lot of oxalate filled vegetables, because I think that is what ends up causing most of the problems for people. I know a lot of people that eat meat and fruit that seem to do really well on it, and that
Yeah.
just is extra proof that Sally Norton is right in her Toxic Superfoods book, and that so many of the vegetables that we eat that we think are superfoods and we think are going to heal us are actually causing us damage. So I think for most people, taking those oxalates out of their diet can make a huge difference. And that's essentially what you have done in eating the fruit. And I think fruit can have a place for somebody who's really metabolically healthy. I don't know that I'm metabolically unhealthy, but I do know that the few times that I have eaten some fruit, it has led me to want more fruit. Like I could just eat fruit all day long. And so I think that I do need to be careful. I think the carnivore diet works great for me. But I'm so glad that you guys have found something that works for you. And then I wanted to talk about your product because you sent me some of these. And
Yes. Elk.
so I want to talk about this for a little while. These are the elk heart crisps, which I've tried several of the products, and I think these are my favorite. They have a little bit of fat left on them. Look at how thin this is, guys. I mean, this is amazing. So what made you guys start doing this?
Yeah, I mean, at that point, we'd been on the animal-based diet for a while. We'd resolved our health issues. We were feeling pretty good. And it wasn't just one day I had an idea. I like saw a gap in the market and I brought it up with my brother. Our original idea, believe it or not, was beef testicle crisps. That was like the original idea for the company. But then
I probably would not have bought those. So I'm glad you went with this instead.
Yeah, and then we decided to pursue it and start researching. We realized there's not a whole lot supply of testicle. Like when you kill a cow, you're not getting a lot of testicle out of that cow.
You think?
So pretty much after the idea had come to me, we decided to pursue it. And after doing months and months of research and like reaching out to regenerative suppliers and stuff, we had decided that bison and elk were there was enough regenerative farms doing it and there was enough supply for it to be a feasible business model. And we pursued that. And so that's pretty much the whole story of the business. Like we were already living the lifestyle, and then I just had an idea one day, and then months and months of work after that, and then we were able to launch.
I think it's amazing. I'm a small business owner too, and I'm still working out of my house. You guys have a facility where you do it, right? You have a commercial kitchen, or you're still doing it?
Yeah, so we do actually make the crisps in an SQF certified facility. Like everything's USDA inspected, so we do use a facility for that. But we fulfill for the most part out of our house.
Yeah.
As of right now.
Yeah, that's awesome. That's how I do mine too. And so like, it shows that you're putting your heart, into it, that you guys are willing to use up so much of your personal time. I think you guys are doing great. I think these are amazing. How's the business going? Is it going well?
Yeah, it's going well. We've been spending like all of our time pretty much working on the back end, just upping our production capacity to meet the demand. So it's going very well. We're very grateful for it.
That's awesome. So you guys can find these. The name is Grazley, and you're Grazley on Instagram, and tell people how they can find you guys other than that, the website and everything.
Yeah, so our website where you can actually you can buy an Instagram shop, Facebook shop, even TikTok shop. Our website is grazley.co. You can buy it directly from there. Our Instagram shop is Grazley Co. So no spaces, GRAZLYCO. We have a Twitter account as well. So on there we're also Grazley Co. No spaces or anything. So those would be our main channels.
Okay. And you guys post lots of good things about health and stuff too. So if anybody wants information on that, your stories and some of your posts are more about health than just being about your products, which I think is awesome.
Yeah. We try to provide as much value as possible, because how much can you really like shove the product to people?
Right. Yeah.
People will buy the product they want. I think the product pretty much speaks for itself once you try it. Yeah. But we pretty much try to educate, because I'm pretty much learning something new every single day about like holistic, healthy living, the environment, toxins, anything. So we just try to learn as it comes to us, share it as it comes to us. Sorry.
Yeah. Well, I think it's amazing. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope we can get your product out there and get your health journey, your healing story out there, because that can help some other people too.
Yeah. Thank you so much for having me, Serena. I appreciate the platform to share. I appreciate you trying the crisps as well.
Yeah. Absolutely. And thank you guys so much for watching. Make sure you get some of these crisps. They're really good. And we'll see you next time on the Carnivore Revolution.
Yep. Thank you guys.